All right, shit, I'm on here finally. I had to figure out how to do this shit. Finally had to get up on here and figure out how to do this, but let me clear my screen out for y'all. My bad. I'm new to this, so y'all just be patient with me. Click here anytime to view your post on YouTube. All right, so all right, trying to figure out how to make this screen go bigger. Right now. All right, screen ain't big, but shit, fuck it. I could work with this. There we go. All right. All right, my bad, y'all. I should give y'all a little introduction. Anyway, we're gonna talk about 9 to 5s, the pros and cons of 9 to 5s, and how they affect people spiritually, mentally, and physically, depending on your occupation and if you're in alignment with your spiritual purpose. When you're in alignment with your spiritual purpose, you're basically not gonna even conceive work as work. It's gonna be something that fulfills you. It can even be something fun and fulfilling. Yeah, it could be very fulfilling when you're in alignment with your soul purpose. So, I'm gonna talk about the pros and cons of 9 to 5s and basically how you can get there and how you could use a 9 to 5 or that 9 to 5 could actually be your full fulfillment purpose. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go in it. I'm gonna start off with the pros of a 9 to 5, and the pros of a 9 to 5 basically could teach you time management. It could teach you discipline, how to wake up at certain times, even if you don't want to. Time management is very big because time doesn't wait on no man, and what you do with your time is gonna basically determine your life out here on this earth. So time management is big, and what you do with your time, with your free will, is gonna basically determine what type of life you want to live. So a lot of us get put into a life that we don't want to live, but we don't put in the work to get to where how we want to live. So with that being said, a 9 to 5 can teach you time management, and it can also teach you money management. Because when you work a 9 to 5, you have to manage your money a certain way because you get paid either bi-weekly or every week, or some people even get paid once a month. So when you're receiving this income once a month, and if you don't have a side hustle at the moment, you know, it teaches you just basically how to manage money, and you can calculate what you need in your life, which is a necessity, and you can calculate how you spending the money on things that you want. Meaning, like you can spend your money on things that you want, but they may not be needed. It might just be needed to fulfill you in other ways, but it's not really needed. And what I mean by needed is essential. What's essential for you, your life, like what food, water, shelter, basically essential. A car is essential too. So these days you need a car. So those would be essential items. And other things like, if you want to go shopping to make yourself feel good with clothes, that's cool. But from the money management part, you'll learn from there how to manage your money. And sometimes you won't be able to spend your money on the things you want. And you may have to sacrifice and spend your money on the things you need. And during that process, you'll determine on uh, how much money, the goals that you want to reach to receive a certain amount of money so you can go get the things you want. But that's another subject because some of the things that you want, you really don't. Some of the things you want could actually hinder you, but that's another subject. But I'm gonna go into how these 9 to 5s, man, how I seen it literally like transform people and turn them into robots. I turn them into like frantic, stressed out people. And so I'm gonna go into the toxic part. Why is it toxic? How does it become toxic? And why is it needed? and how it's impossible to keep your work life and personal life separated. You know, you hear that a lot. A lot of people tell you to keep your work life and personal life separated, but in reality, that's impossible. I mean, you can mentally try to cut off your personal life when you're at work, but realistically, how many people do that? And how many people gonna keep it real? So, with that being said, I've been in the 9 to 5s for a little minute, and I just seen a lot of oppression. Um, Oppression is basically when you're working when you're trapped somewhere, or you feel like you're trapped somewhere because you're living in a state of fear that you can't go get another job somewhere else, or you can't get something better, or it may be a lot of loopholes that you may not want to go through to get to where you want to get. Um, so how the place when I went to my 9 to 5, man, the most toxic stuff came from the people that felt trapped. Um, and basically, some people get lucky. Like if you're in the medical field, I've seen people get lucky where they can go to college and that job in the medical field actually was their sole purpose. And when they get into their actual job title, they are actually happy and fulfilled on what they do. And you see it in their work. And that's why today you see customer service, you know, at an all-time low because a lot of people are not really in line with their sole purpose. They're just doing a job for a paycheck, you know, and that's a bad thing. You know, we all been there before though, but just know like if you're just at a job for a paycheck, be working on a way out to get somewhere you want to be at, and not just for a paycheck. And I even seen doctors and people were making big money, you know, not happy with their job because they got that job because society told them to go get that job. They got that job because family told them to get that job. And so now they're, you know, stuck in a place after building on these credentials up in college, and that's money invested, time, years. Now they're in a job to where they don't want to start over again. So unfortunately, you might get, you know, somebody that's in a job that's not really passionate about their job, but this year for a paycheck. So let me tell you, I know the solution to it, but we can't get to that yet because a lot of y'all live in fear. But another thing, the technique I seen being done is that the people at the top of these corporations, they're sitting back, you know, and they're rich already, and they're not going to work as hard as you know, which is understandable. But the only bad thing they do is that they get greedy. So what they do is that they'll get a manager, somebody from the bottom like you and I, and they'll put that manager into a manager position, and they'll reward this manager. The manager doesn't tell you this, but they reward the managers basically on producing the most work with the less resources. So I'm gonna repeat that. They reward managers for producing the most work with less resources because it looks good on paper, and it looks as if you saved the company a lot of money and you produce the same amount of work. The downfall of that is that the people become oppressed because now you working the shit out of the few workers you got, and you working the dog shit out of them, and you're producing the same amount of work as if you needed 10 people, but now you're doing it with 5 people. So the manager gets a pat on the back, but the workers on the bottom, they don't get nothing but a lot of work, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of manipulation factors that managers use, because everybody that works a real 9 to 5, you know the facts, bro. Like if you was to actually follow the policy and do it the way the policy said, the manager would be kind of mad at you because it may take more time, so it may slow down productivity. Or, you know, it's jobs today, man. I seen where you could work 8 hours and they ain't giving you 2 breaks in a lunch because it'll be impossible to finish your job if you took those 2 breaks. So even though it's mandated by the state and it's law, I seen people skip their breaks and stuff and be like, I gotta get this work done. And so it's like invisible little things in these 9 to 5s that's outside of the policy that's in the booklet. Then there's these invisible laws. And everybody that works in 9 to 5 know what I'm talking about. So you got these invisible laws that managers put in place or people with seniority put in place. These are the two people you're gonna have to watch out for because seniority is granted by the employer. So when they're not granted anything by their employer, these people that been there a long time, they start creating these invisible laws that work for them and what I mean by that is that they may be like they may have the same title as you, and on that title there's a job requirement underneath it. They may say that, okay, well, since I've been here 5, 10 years, I don't need to do that job requirement no more, so we're gonna give it to the new people coming in, and it's usually the least likely job. It's usually the least favorable job that everybody hates. It's a task on that job requirement, but they're not going to do because they feel that they're entitled to not do it anymore because they've been there long, even though this wasn't handed down by their employer in paperwork. So when you get a cat like me that come on the premises, I start checking shit, and I'm like, nah, I ain't got to do that. That you got to do that too. And they don't have no, like, the employer can't protect them from it. So what it does is it causes a little friction. It's gonna cause some friction. People going when you start standing up for yourself and dividing the work equally or even discussing policy, you'll see managers' eyes start bucking, and people start acting a certain type of way. Yeah, what's up, Michael? Not my bad, I got cut off guard. But anyway, so yeah, even during this virus, bro, I actually came up with a solution. Since we're all on a subliminal strike right now, which it took a virus for us to go on strike, but if people really knew they self work, after this virus, I would refuse to not go to work. You know what I'm saying? Until the money's right now. Okay, we got our health right now. Let's get this money right. Since we at a standstill, let's stand still till it's right all the way. You know what I'm saying? Let's make sure this money right. But anyway, it's not as easy as that because I'm gonna get into you how the system systematically makes it almost impossible to get to that, and I'm gonna get further along into that. But anyway, you get some of these old heads that have been on the job a long time. They didn't want to evolve, so they stuck, and then they start feeding. They start just basically trying to pick and choose what they're gonna do on their job title and pass it on to the newcomers like me and the young people. So anyway, that causes friction. And then you could see a manager. A manager could be literally and stressed out trying to do work to meet these requirements, so it could look good on paper. So what you get basically now is you start getting a toxic workplace because now you're getting treated unfair, and you're having to fight for yourself. The company's not going to fight for you. So now when you already going to a 9 to 5, because let's be realistic, you're not going to get your dream 9 to 5 at first. Most of us. Some people do. You know what I'm saying? Congratulations if you do. But some of us, you might have to work a 9 to 5 and use that money to create your job of fulfillment or to even find your job of fulfillment. But what a lot of people do is when they get a 9 to 5, they stop looking for another job and stop looking how to evolve another job. They just already start calculating how much money they're going to get from this job and how they're going to go get the things they want from this job. So now their mind focus is just focused on that, basically a cap, because the job is giving you a cap. They're telling you how much you're going to get paid. And believe it or not, man, a lot of people are really like okay with these job payments, man. And that's probably like one of the saddest things I've seen is that people not opening their eyes and being like, what? How much are you only paying me this much an hour to do this? But when you learn how the system works and how they keep basically if I was to say, hey, know your self work, we work more than 15 an hour. We need at least 18 an hour. Everybody don't go to work in tomorrow. It's always gonna be some old person that's doing worse than you and be like, I'd be thankful for just making $10, $9. So that's where we lose at because it's always gonna be somebody that's struggling, more than you, and they're gonna be thankful to work for $10. When you over here trying to fight to get 18. So the people that's thankful for 10, they gonna fuck up the whole game plan. And that's why I'm not even into politics, but that's why I do kind of, get what Trump was doing because a lot of illegals were coming in here and they were willing to work for that $10. So that's where we lost that. So if we all need to get on the court and quit at the same time, you will have illegals coming in and be like, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? And then and I'm gonna say this too, man. And I could use the iPhones as an example, but a lot of this shit these corporations put out, they're literally throwing it out there to you just to see how you're gonna react. They're gonna react based on how you react. So when they put out the new iPhones, it could have been a joke behind the scenes, but when they seen people still lining up to get it, they kept doing it. And that's the same thing with minimum wage. If they throw out, they're gonna throw out the bare minimum first, and that's called bidding. Everybody knows how to bid. When you're bidding for an auction or you auction an item, you're gonna throw out the lowest first, and if the person takes it, you're gonna be like, hell yeah. So a lot of these corporations, they'll be like, shit, fuck it, we're gonna start off at minimum wage, even though they have some of them even know like the job is worth 18 an hour. But what they'll do is be like, fuck it, if we can get somebody to do this shit for minimum wage, then we're gonna take it, more money for us. So they gonna throw out that 13 an hour, and believe it or not, you're gonna have a whole bunch of people jumping and hooping and hollering and even fighting for it, man. And that was probably the most toxic thing I seen is that because I had a background where I was doing things that was spiritually not right, but I was receiving a lot of money. But so when I changed spiritually and went into the 9 to 5 realm to do better for myself and to not gain profit off of the demise of a people or addictions, I went into the 9 to 5 world, and then I started seeing people being toxic over small amounts of money, man. Uh, and that's when I knew like people don't really know what real money is. And if you know what I mean, is I'm saying that everybody has their own definition of what real money is. Everybody has their own definition of what clean is. So, but on the, however, money can actually be distinguished because there's a system of place, a financial system of accountability that where you can actually factually represent what a lot of money is. So with that being said, is that you could take the whole gross or the whole company's net worth, and then from there you could value on what real money is or how much you feel you get paid. So there's something you could look at to decide what real money is. So when you look at things on a grand scheme, on an open scheme, on the big scheme of level, a lot of these corporations they got it. You know what I'm saying? They actually got it. They know that they could pay you 18, at least 18. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, they're gonna throw out that minimum wage, and you're gonna have these people that's less fortunate, and they don't know what real money is, so they'll be jumping to that. You know what I'm saying? And so I guess that's more of an independent route. I can't really touch up on that subject because I don't want to like try to persuade somebody what real money is, because real money is unfortunately depending on the individual. But then you got America, and you got to figure out what's the cost of living, how cost of living in America, how much does it cost to raise a kid in America, and other benefiting factors like, health, saving up money for a rainy day, and other things like that. And a lot of these jobs, these 9 to 5s, they're not supplying enough money for you to even do that. That's why you see a lot of people doing, illegal things, and it's set up like that on purpose. But anyway, let me get back to on subject to basically where I'm gonna tell you how these 9 to 5s affect people spiritually though, and mentally and physically. And I'm gonna start off with physical. It can affect you physically because if you got a desk job, I see people have a desk job, and let's be realistic. You're spending most of your time at work if you're a full-time employee. Um, if you got a desk job, most people that have desk jobs have a higher risk of increasing body fat. It's because you're stagnant most of the day, and you're using your mental capacity most of the day, not your physical capacity. But your mental capacity is just as important as your physical, if not more important. It's actually more important because you could drain yourself energy wise mentally, even if you didn't move a body in your physical body. You could be tired. If you take a test for a long time, you might be drained and tired and be like, pay people, yep. But yeah, you could be tired, so when you get off of work, you're drained, so you don't want to work out or whatever like that. But however, you got to discipline yourself to work out. But that's just an example of how jobs could affect you physically. And another way is that people don't bring their own personal lunch to work because it's time consuming to pack your lunch and meal prep. But however, you must really take advantage of your time and manage it to your best ability for your best health. But I seen people gain weight or, physically. Oh yeah. And not even, let me get off the weight part. Some of these 9 to 5s are actually labor jobs, physical labor jobs. And I can use production for an example. I've seen people at a production chain, say for grocery companies or supply chains like that. And the amount of work that they want them to do in the 8 hours is almost damn near impossible. Well, it's possible, but if you were to actually lift correctly every time you squat and put your back brace on and actually do it the right way, they won't be able to reach the same amount of numbers and productivity. So what you get is you get these people that's really in need of money and living in fear to where they're literally breaking their backs at work and not standing up for themselves, literally breaking their backs at work every day, doing like insane physical work. So that's another example on how these 9 to 5s can break you physically. Um, it's just labor, high expected numbers and productivity that's not realistic with the amount of staff you got. But like I said, the managers are gonna put the whip on your back because they want to look good on paper to the higher ups and say, "Look how much work I did with these amount of people. I'm being efficient," But he's not realizing the toxicity that the oppression brings. And long-term oppression, and that's basically what I'm getting to 9 to 5s, which is long-term oppression if you don't get out of it or if you're not in line with your sole purpose. Because some 9 to 5s actually give you the outlet to fulfill your sole purpose. I haven't found one yet for me, but I seen other people, they'll be at a 9 to 5, and that's actually what they wanted to do in their life, and they're happy, they're providing the best customer service. But however, if you're not, you're going to actually lead to oppression. And what oppression does is long time oppression will make, how can I explain? Long term oppression will build up an ego, a false ego, and a false pride. And what happens with these people that's been long term oppressed is it's basically they'll be an overseer or overwatcher at the job, and they'll do things like, I'm gonna use this as an example. Um, I know one cat, he'll say he's for the people or whatever like that, but he been at his job so long that if a new person comes along, he's gonna teach him, but he's not gonna teach him everything because he wants to be validated as the best person on the job or plantation. So what he'll do is like, I heard him say it from his own mouth. He'll basically be like, "Yeah, I had a new person come on the job, but I didn't teach him everything. Yeah, I'm not gonna teach him all the tips and tricks." And I was like looking puzzled. I'm like, why wouldn't you want to teach your own people the tips and tricks on how to do the job easier? And then he said it. He was like, "Cause I got to be the man up here." So so what they do is, man, they start developing false fulfillments, and they start being fulfilled on toxic shit and not even know it's toxic. But that fulfillment comes into their nature because they have to replace the fulfillment they didn't fulfill. If you get what I'm saying. So everybody needs to be fulfilled in life, and some people go about it in different ways. Um, the flesh could never be fulfilled, and that's how you got to keep pleasing the flesh. And but the spirit, the spirit could be fulfilled in a positive way, and once your spirit is filled in a positive way, you're actually happy. So the work that you're going to do is be like positive shit, enlightening, making the job easier for the next person. You're not going to do what these other people do. So anyway, when your job is not fulfilled in your true soul purpose, your body naturally and mentally starts replacing that fulfillment with another type of fulfillment. So now his fulfillment is being the head dude on the job. So he didn't teach his young brother the tips and tricks because he had to be the head dude on the job. It was weird, but people do that. Um, Another thing is that people egos are filled on the job, and everybody that knows egos is that egos could be a little bit dangerous. So now, and egos is a police officer, you know. So you can have these egos in these positions at jobs and management positions and position of power, and they unconsciously or subconsciously play out their hidden insecurities or hidden PTSDs. It plays out into their role of work. You're at work every day. So that's what I'm saying. When they say tell people to keep your personal life separate from your work life, that's really kind of impossible. You could do good at acting and being disciplined, but eventually, if you're somewhere for a long period of time, your personal life is going to trickle down into your work life. You know, and that's just facts. That's just nature. So you get these people that need to get their ego stroked. They need a pat on the back for every goddamn thing they do. They just don't do the work and go home. They got to get a pat on their back. Or then you get these people that's not being fulfilled at home. So then they come to the workplace and they look for fulfillment, which is the worst place to do it at, because now you're gonna they'll do certain little techniques when they know they got power over you to fulfill their ego. You know, saying to feel fulfilled. You know, so now it's like that's another toxic thing. You know, so people that's coming in with good spirits, you know, we're pretty. You're gonna see this shit and you're just gonna be like, whoa, like what the fuck? Like calm down, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? But you know, I'm just I don't blame them. I mean, I do blame them. Half is their fault and half is the system's fault because the system is out of line anyway for their systematic oppression. Um, that's some gritty ass shit, you know what they do. But anyway, so what else I'm gonna say? Another. So I got on the pros. The pros is basically time management, how to get your ass up in the morning, how to be disciplined, you know, how to put work in. Those are the pros. How to manage your money. Those are the pros. And then some things, another good things on these 9 to 5s though. This is a pro in the 9 to 5. Some of them do have resources and tools you could use to learn new skills and traits. And then you can learn skills and traits from that organization and implement that in your personal goals and desires. So I go to say there's some pros on the 9 to 5s. I mean, if you take the actual 9 to 5 and take people out the equation, the system is not too bad, but the pay wage is what makes it bad. But however, if you get you know, good people in these systems and a good pay rate, um, I believe these 9 to 5s could actually be more bettering, you know, and not as toxic working there every day because we spend a lot of time with our 9 to 5. So you want to go to a place where it's, you know, good energy, positivity, not hating. And that's another thing these people do that have been on the job for a long time. They're no longer fulfilled with their job, so they got to get filled up from drama, gossip, mess. Man, I was in the medical field, and I ain't gonna lie, man. There's a lot of drama and mess up there, man. I see why they make these TV shows off of them, but and it's just because they really oppressed. You know, they really oppressed, and then when you oppress, you become depressed, and you know what I'm saying. That's depression, and then misery loves company after that. So it could become toxic, you know. And I will say this though too. Different cultures. I admire one culture of people. They learn how to take these 9 to 5s. They learn how to take over these 9 to 5s. I ain't gonna say how they took over them, but that's back to my, you know, why I said Trump was kind of on the right path of kind of clearing out the illegals thing. And it's not because I don't believe illegal is human. It's just that because when they flood the workplace out, the true American or the person that knows how much money the corporations got is never going to have a voice because, like I said in the beginning of the video, if no everybody's not going to quit. Like if I say, hey, we ain't going back to work till we at least get 18 an hour, it's always going to be somebody underneath that's going to be like, I'll work for $10 an hour. You know what I'm saying? So that's the con about it. But the pro I learned about them is that they learn how to work together at the workplace. So they're gonna, if the job is hard, they're gonna work together to make the job easy at work. They even have luncheons to where everybody brings it's like a fucking potluck every day, where like, cause they know how hard it is. So if one person may not have lunch or something like that, they bring a fucking potluck to lunch every day. Everybody's like fucking feasting at lunchtime from other cultures. So they're saving money because they're not going to eat this fast food during their lunch break, or they're not going to spend all this money on their lunch break or time. They'll bring like some food, everybody eat together. Then after that, they go work together, and they're down to help each other out. And that actually makes the workplace a lot easier. But then when you get into workplaces where it's people that got this slave mentality, and I got to be the head Negro on deck, um, or I got to take out my personal life frustrations out on you, or I was bullied in high school, so now I got a badge and I'm gonna let y'all have it, and it just becomes toxic, you know. And like I say, man, my thing is it's not to bash the 9 to 5s, but just be aware of what they got to offer. How long do you plan on being there? And my advice, I'm 31. My advice to anybody working a 9 to 5 that's not in your spiritual alignment, your first number one goal has to be when you get to that job is how much money I need to save to get out. And if I don't have an idea yet on what I want to do in life, let me just save my money, because eventually I might formulate an idea through the life process and figure out what I like. And then you'll have the money to act on it. So always find a way out when you get to these 9 to 5 jobs, man. Just that needs to be the number one uh objective when you get a job, is get the job and how can I get out this job to get to a better job. And then don't look at numbers all the time. Work for, what you need to get done and get paid fair. But at the same time, is align yourself with happiness too. So your job that may make you happy may not pay as much, at first, but still I would still say go do it so you can get that fulfillment and learn more on your craft. And then eventually, naturally, you'll start adding on to something you're passionate about. And who knows, you could probably develop something to add to the job or innovate something new to the job that can give you more money. Or you may learn the tips and tricks and trades of the job at that 9 to 5 organization. And then you could take those and incorporate those in a business that you may want to start off. So a lot of people are wanting to start their own business these days. What better way to learn about a business you want to start than go and work for a business that has common similarities in the passion that you may want to pursue. So, yeah, you could read a book all day. I say read a book about the business you want to start, but at the same time, go work for a company that has already developed that business module and see how you could take from it or add on to it, hands-on experience. So, so those are the pros about 9 to 5s. You could use them to educate yourself. You can use them for tools, resources. And one of the best pros about 9 to 5s, because like 70% of the world, maybe 75% of the world is working 9 to 5s. So don't be fooled by social media where everybody's acting like they're business owners and everybody's working for themselves. That's not true. It's on paper. 70 to 80% of people are working 9 to 5s. So with that being said, the pros of that many people working a 9 to 5 is that you'll meet hellified networks, because it will be a person in your 9 to 5 that has the same mindset as you, wanting to get out like you, and then y'all two can get together and discuss business plans and how y'all gonna get a way out and actually put your money together to make that dream happen. And unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way is that you can't do it by yourself. None of these organizations in business do it by yourself. Even if it's a person that has an idea, he has to bring investors to the table. So you can't do it by yourself. It took me a while to swallow that pill. You only can get so far by yourself. So the pros, and one of the another pros I'm gonna add on to the 9 to 5 world, is that you will meet some good people. You will meet some humble people. But unfortunately, you will meet some broken people. Um, Broken people like to break people too. And that's back to that field digger syndrome. If a nigga been working the field his whole life and he see another brother find a way to avoid the field, that field one is going to be mad and try to get him in the field much as possible, because he's going to say, I had to do all that work. That's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Even though that field Negro had the same opportunity as the Negro that thought outside the box. But instead of that field Negro having that self-awareness, because his spirit's been depleted. When you're oppressed for a long time, your spirit starts to feel broken. And we all been there before. When your spirit starts, because these jobs will break you spiritually. That's why I make this video. If you're oppressed for a long period of time, you will be broken spiritually and depleted spiritually. So when you're depleted spiritually, is that you don't have awareness no more. So now you're just looking at the physical plane. So for that field Negro, since his spirit is gone, he's not going to have the spiritual awareness to say, hey, you know what? Damn, I should have thought of that. Or he's not going to, he can't have the spiritual awareness to be like, oh, I like what he's doing. Hell yeah. Like, yeah, you don't want to do what I'm doing. Like, yeah, go the other way, child. That's when a person is spiritually aware, like person to tell you like, nah, you don't want to come this route. Like I like, and you may admire how the new person did it and follow behind their steps, and then you evolve your life, But some of them ain't gonna be able to see with their spiritual eyes, so they're just gonna be like, I have to do all this work, so it's unfair if he ain't doing all this work. Hell no. And then they'll go out the way and they'll actually do the oppressor's job for lower amounts of money. And that's the same thing I was experiencing like a lot of jobs is that these managers are doing the oppressor's job for small amounts of money, and they're so living in fear that they won't even ask the people at the top of the corporation for more help because they're afraid of missing that reward. I forgot whatever they call it. That's another name for it. Not a stipend, but it's something that people get if they reach a certain amount of numbers. They get like damn, I forgot the word for it, but they get a little bit of change for it. So it's just everybody's living in fear at these 9 to 5s that I'm seeing, man. Everybody's stressed out. Everybody's living in fear, and it causes a toxic workplace, an unfair workplace, and it causes oppression. And then what my message is just to basically spread out is that there's pros and cons at the 9 to 5s, and I explained them. This is off the head freestyle. I'm just explaining to you guys, but rule number one: when you get to a 9 to 5 that's not in line with your spirit or your sole purpose, be saving your money for a way out. Save your money and be looking for a way out. Two, you're gonna have to be fearless. You're gonna have to be fearless, man. You're gonna have to speak up. If you know that corporation is not giving you a break, you're gonna have to speak up, and they will use the intimidation factor. Some of them even might start cutting your hours, bro. I'm being 100. They might start cutting your hours when you start asking for justice and equality. It's facts, and so you're gonna have to be fearless, and you're gonna have to go about it the systematic way, man. Sometimes you might have to call the equal unemployment hotline and discuss what's going on at your job. Investigate it. And you are gonna stir up trouble, and people will be mad at you. But hey, it's either you or them. And they won't be happy till you're oppressed just like them. And I've seen a lot of good workers, get taken advantage of. How many times we seen that the person that's volunteering to cover the crappy shift ends up getting the crappy shift all the time. The good worker that's willing to do the task on the job that nobody else wants to do, he ends up getting it put to him all the time. And because he wants to be a good worker, there's nothing wrong with that. But you managers and you living in fear, motherfuckers, actually oppress the good workers, and I'm just saying it's just time to fight back. You can fight back in many ways, but I'm not trying to start nothing. But my advice, I use the boycott as a reference. When they boycotted the bus lines, them bus lines got in line after that when they hit their pockets. So, man, you would have to get everybody on accord, but right now during this virus, since everybody is on strike, not willingly on strike, involuntarily on strike, it took a virus to come to put you on strike. But in my opinion, bro, we should have been on strike a long time ago. Y'all fight, bro. There's people fighting for $13, $14 an hour, bro. I hate to break it to you, bro. That's not gonna do nothing for you, man. If you know the cost of living, the cost of gas, the cost of a car note, because you need a car these days. A car is essential. So you should have a couple $100 left after you pay your rent, after you pay your car note, and after you buy groceries at the house. You should still have a couple $100 left as an American, as a tax-paying American. Don't let them lie to you and tell them that they don't have it, because they got it. They're just fucking off the money and doing shit that they want and letting you spend your money on only you shit you need. And that's why some people end up miscalculating their money or misspending their money, because eventually you're like, fuck, I want something nice too. I want to do something other than just go to work every day too. So if you got to be careful, because some of these jobs are only supplying you enough money to take care of yourself to come back to work, not to leave work, but just to come right back to them. So they'll pay you enough. All right, we need this person, some gas in their car. Like I said, they barely paying y'all, bro. If y'all really knew how much money it was out here, you wouldn't go to work tomorrow. And when if these corporations see nobody show up at their job, nigga, you know damn well they're gonna start negotiating, and we're gonna start the bidding process over again. Okay, they're gonna, all right. So we need you guys at the bottom because honestly, the bottom is what makes the world go wrong. How much do we got to pay y'all? And then we come to something that's reasonable, and you go from there. But like I said, will it happen? I don't know. I wouldn't wait on it. The solution is just basically going on strike. As easy as it said, it's gonna not probably not gonna be done because people live in fear. So don't wait on that. I would just take the advice I told you, and when you get on these jobs, start stacking your money, start saving it, start looking for a way out. Because when when time hits during the long, lengthy time of work, when you find out and when you reach this phase where you're mad, irritated, aggravated, and you lash out, on the people around you. And I'm gonna use this as an example, man. You got people that's oppressed by their 9 to 5, and instead of taking that on their 9 to 5 in the job, they come home and unconsciously take it out on family and kids. You know, and from there, and let me just tell you how the ripple effect on how dangerous that ripple effect is. Because you may have a man that's working his hardest to plead his family, but he's just simply not getting paid enough. And he's irritated. So he gets home and out of frustration, he takes it out on his wife. Then, he takes it out on the kids. And it may seem small, but guess what? You may have broke that wife's spirit. You may have broke those kids' confidence and spirit. So all this was trickled down from a greedy corporation not wanting to pay you money because they want their kids to be liberated and free and do what they want and enjoy life. But they ain't giving a fuck about your kids and your wife, bro. You know, and like I said, when once a person is spiritually depleted, they don't know that they're really just mad because they're being worked for a long time. So they take it out on the wife and kids. Now it's the wife's fault, or vice versa. Now the woman's taking it out on the husband. Or the kids. The kids didn't do nothing bad. The kids just, gonna be kids. They got high energy. Now you telling them to shut the fuck up and go to their room. And it's really because you oppressed. So I don't want y'all to take oppression lightly at all. And just because it's not done with a whip and chain don't mean that it's not going on. Just because it's done in a systematic way don't mean it's not gonna deplete you spiritually. Just because it looks good on paper and logically doesn't mean it's not gonna wipe out your spirit, then wipe out your family, then wipe out your generation. You know, we could, as godly people, man, we have a God given right to have access to resources because we're connected to the source. So, when I was young, I was like, oh, I don't really care about money. But as I got old, I see money is connected to resources that is our God given right to have access to. And then you got these systems that put money right in between it. That way they could decide how you're gonna get this money. That way they could decide how you could have access to resources. You know? So spiritually, your spirit's gonna be feeling some type of way about this process. And that's why I'm trying to get you mentally to understand what your spirit is telling you. That way you can go about it in a positive way instead of a frantic and fearful way. And only two things come out of the frantic and fearful way. Either one, you'll become the oppressor unconsciously and not even know it and take it out on your wife and kids and your family. Or two, damn, I just lost my thought. Shit. Oh yeah, or two, man, you'll end up doing something illegal that could actually get you oppressed and enslaved even more. So you got to really play chess out here, man. And it's set up like that on purpose. Don't think it wasn't. All that shit was set up intentionally. So you really gonna have to unite with people, with like-minded people that's thinking the same way. That way you can avoid that jail time. And y'all gonna have to put y'all money together. Everybody likes to have a prayer group and put church in it. And I'm not against church. I'm not against religion, but I do believe people use that as a scapegoat to not actually put in the work. What I mean by that is it goes both ways with religion. I've seen people do it. You got the people that depend on religion to do the work for them, and they waiting on God. Then on the other side, you got the people that's in the religion, uh, in the higher arc of the religion facility or whatever like that, and they'll use it as a scapegoat not to do God's work. What I mean by that, if you ask your pastor or say somebody in religion that, hey man, I'm good spiritually, I just need help with resources, I just need help with some money right now. Instead of them doing the God's work and giving you that money, they could use the Bible as a scapegoat and give you a Bible passage, and then instead of actually putting that real work in. So now you got two sides using it as a scapegoat, and therefore God's work is not being done because now you use the Bible as a scapegoat or some religious entity as a scapegoat, not to put the work in for your people. And that's why I always tell people, man, God is inside of us. So we got to put the work in. And then when we have unity, and that's why they use it in religion, they say when two or more are gathered together, he's in the midst. And I just use it as a reference because most people are religious. But if you take that out, it's basically saying the same thing I'm saying. When two or more people are on the same agenda and put their resources together with their spirituality together, then you still seeing the works in the physical realm, and a lot of y'all, have spiritual enlightenment, but, your physical realm is not matching that, and that can actually promote insanity. Um, so it's just people need to wake up, stop using religious sources as a scapegoat, not to put in that work on both sides. And I'm gonna use another example of that. Religious folks do. They could have all the resources that actually help out your problem, but they'll rather give you a Bible passage or tell you come to church because they make more money off you. But put in the real work, bro. If it's just like a doctor giving you medicine. What religious groups do is they'll give you the directions, what time to take the medicine, and how to take the medicine with food, and the instructions for the medicine without the motherfucking medicine. So you'll walk out of religion with the booklet, but with no medicine. And that's what I'm telling you, motherfuckers, bro. Stop using that as a escape route. If you say you love God, you got to start providing information with resources, because that's when you get fucking results, real results in the physical realm, and that's why I see other cultures, they do it all the time. Man, when a family member or somebody calls them up, they're giving them a prayer and some money. You know what I'm saying? When you get the two together, you get results. If you just get one without the other, you don't get results. You get insanity. So, I would say, just man, you gotta tap in with yourself, use your common sense, and be self accountable. Self accountability first. So I'm not telling you to go out here and blame shit, because there's always a way out. Be self accountable, and then be realistic at the same time, and identify the enemy and identify the right enemy and who the enemy is, and identify what jobs you like and stuff, and do something about it. Because if you don't do something about it, you could be taken captive, and be a slave and not even know it. And there's a lot of unconscious slaves out here, and they unconsciously do evil. So when people are disconnected from their spirit or depleted from their spirit, they have no awareness. So, that's why some people be like, damn, this dude has no conscience. He could just go to sleep and do that whole ass shit. And it's like, yeah, he can. Because your consciousness is connect with your spirit. So once that's depleted and took out, people can perform evil acts without even knowing it and sleep good at night. But people like me and you that have a spirit, we like, bro, I couldn't even sleep with myself if I did some whole ass shit like that, because we're aware what's going on. So, I'm gonna go ahead and end it. This was my first video. It's kind of rough. I did it spare of the moment. I wanted to do it real quick, just to get it off my chest before I get distracted throughout the day, because it's a lot of distractions out here. I have some that I got to work on myself. But with that being said, man, I would say unite, fight for what's right, and sometimes to make a drastic change, you might have to lose your life for it. You might have to lose your ego for it. And you might have to be put in a situation where you don't know where your money gonna come from, but damn it, this ain't enough. And then find ways to work together. You can go about this a smart way, but all I did was just tell y'all how we could do it as a whole, And then I'm giving y'all plan B if that don't ever happen, because people, it's gonna be millions of people living in fear. So that the idea whole goal that I got may not happen in our lifetime because of people living in fear. So if that doesn't happen, the plan B will be like I said, man, get these jobs, start saving, start looking for something else that's gonna make you happy. Um, Start developing ideas, and sometimes it may not come fast. Sometimes you may have to work a 9 to 5 for a year or two to figure out you don't like it. So have patience, but don't have too much patience. And that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna end it out with this and say, it's okay to not be humble sometimes. It's okay to be mad, because I see in religion kind of make psych people up to where they're being oppressed, and they'll really psych themselves up with a Bible verse to keep on being oppressed, and they keep thinking that it's okay to be oppressed by saying shit like, "Oh, well, it could be worse," or "Let me be humble," or if you want more, "Oh, I'm being greedy." But the people at the top are fucking feasting. So gotta watch those religious antics, man, because they could really be psyching you up to be okay with being enslaved. So I'm just here to clear that up, bro. Like your spirit gonna yell out, bro, and your spirit's gonna tell you different than what your mind telling you, because you've been programmed and brainwashed for so long with religion and oppression systems. And unfortunately, religion actually came from an oppressor. But that's another subject. I'm not gonna get into that because, like I said, it's mixed in a whole lot of things. Because, like I said, you could have some person that's religious and work a 9 to 5, and they could actually be fulfilled to the highest. And it's just because they actually alignment with their job, and either they took religion serious or not that serious. You know what I'm saying? So don't be fooled by just because somebody is living in those two categories. They can be happy. So I'm not saying that, but on the overall grand scale, hell nah, bro. Like on the overall, it's like evident to see that everybody's not happy. And a lot of people are stressed out, and it's actually, if you look in today's society, people are actually bad. The stressed out will actually bash the other stressed out people for coming out and crying and saying that they're stressed out, and they'll be like, "Oh, you tired? He couldn't take it." Or if you walk off from that job that's working you hard, the people that's being oppressed will actually, um, they'll actually like put themselves on a higher scale than you and be like, "Oh yeah, he couldn't take it," and make themselves feel good that they took that oppression. Like he couldn't handle it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So they'll actually feel, man, the psychology of this shit, the oppressor will have a person being oppressed actually feel empowered from being oppressed and handling the oppression. Whoo, that's psychology code, bro. Like I seen it. Like, and the person that's actually want to stand for the truth and knows their self worth, they'll deem you weak and say you can't handle the work. And it's like, nah, I can handle it, bro. I'm just not getting paid enough. And then you'll have a person that's oppressed that'll be like, oh, he thinks he's better than us. Nah, motherfucker, I just know what real money is, and I know that these motherfuckers ain't paying us right, bro. I can handle that work. But I'm not going to play on your reverse psychology game, because they use psychology to oppress you. So remember what reverse psychology is and what psychology is first off. They use that shit to oppress most of you motherfuckers. And psychology is basically oppressed through media, through what you see and hear. So, like I said, you will have oppressed people being oppressed, feeling empowered for being oppressed. And what I mean by that is basically they trying to dog you out, and when you step up for yourself, they'll even try to devalue you when you actually know your true value. They'll try to be like, oh, he thinks he's better than us. And it's like, nah, I just know my self worth. You guys don't know your self worth. And if you can catch up with me, you'll know your self worth too. So it's like, I'm not thinking I'm better than you or none of that. I just know my self worth. And oppressed people get offended by that. So you'll actually have the oppressed people come after you first than the people that's actually on top of these headquarters and corporations. And they know that. That's why they can really literally sit back and laugh and put their hands together like this, because they playing with y'all puppets. And they know they ain't really got to work no more, because y'all, the oppressed, is going to do the dirty work for them. And then, shit. And one thing I like about that other culture, though, they gonna shit on you, brother. They gonna lift their brother and sister up do because they may have the same bloodline with no degree and put them in a high job. And and if you've been in these jobs, you know what I'm talking about, bro. You could talk to somebody in the higher ups and they won't have no idea on how to perform your job, what your job is, or what. Sometimes they'll even answer the phone as if you're bothering them. They don't even have no ties to the job, bro. They just collecting a check, and your ass is putting in all the work, bro. That's why some people you would talk to these higher ups and degrees, and they have no clue on how to do your job. Shit, a lot of y'all know how to run these people's corporations better than them. Facts, spitting facts, man. But it's up to y'all. If y'all want to wake up and know your self worth or not. But if everybody doesn't know their self worth, I'm still giving you keys on how to get out the 9 to 5 world, man. Not even not to get out of it, but to put yourself in alignment, to put yourself in a desirable 9 to 5 and a well paid 9 to 5. Because even those could be healthy for you. But until then, I'm gonna just work on some more messages. I'm trying to figure out how I could speak on these messages and give you more clarification and translate it in a language that people can understand to where I come from. And hopefully I can provide you with more, receipts and facts and more examples and analogies to let you know how real this is and that I'm not tripping, that I'm not lazy just because I don't want to be a slave or oppressed, because they'll even deem you lazy for wanting fair share of work or wanting fair share of pay. They'll use reverse psychology tactics and call you lazy or you can't handle it and all that shit. I'm just letting y'all know, bro. I see through that bullshit, fam. Can't for you can't get over me. You can't. I'm not a child. I'm very woke. I'm very enlightened. I'm spiritually awakened. So, with that being said, wish y'all the best. Stay up. Stay positive. Spread this video. I suck at technology. Be honest with this whole social media thing. I don't know. I'm learning how to share. I'm learning how to upload as we go along with this. But if y'all want to help me out and reach out and provide me with information on how to share or how to advertise it and how to get more people to the truth, let me know. Hit my inbox up. I'm gonna leave my information in the description more and get more professional with it. But this is my first video. Appreciate you, Michael. See, you the only one rocking with me right now, but that's how all things start. But I'm gonna save it and upload it and shit. I wish y'all the best, and I'm gonna leave my contact information in my description. And then also on my YouTube, I got music videos. I do that for fun. That's a way I use as an expressive outlet. So if y'all want to check out some videos, y'all welcome to check out some music videos too. But shit, peace, love, and happiness, and righteousness most importantly. And with righteousness comes a fight in this world. So I would say stay righteous and stay prepared to fight, because a lot of y'all on y'all knees waiting on something to come fight for you. And the fight starts within us first. And the fight starts with cutting habits off, detaching yourself away, and trying to reset your mind if you can. But if not, you got people like me that's gonna try to break things down to you and explain things to you in a way that you can understand it. Because sometimes people just need understanding. So with that being said, I wish y'all the best. Until then, until next time, stay up, stay fighting, stay righteous, and stay up. I'm out. See, now I gotta figure out. See, I'm a rookie. I gotta figure. All right, there.